Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I don't think I would ask God a question. I would just give him thanks.
That's okay.
I used to ask why. But guess what why stands for? Who hurt you? Guess what it stands for again?
What?
Who helped you? Guess what it stands for again?
What?
What healed you? So then when you ask them questions, you find your purpose. So I feel like there's no reason to ask God why. God does things to build you, not kill you. So I don't think I would ask. I would just give God thanks if I had asked him a question.
You know, there's been plenty of times in my life where I felt like if I knew the reason why something had happened, then I'd be able to move on. If I could just understand everything, then I wouldn't have to struggle with the whys and why not and how come. I've spent most of my life asking why. I've always been kind of curious in that sense. I always wanted to know. And it doesn't always come from a bad place. Sometimes it's you want to understand and you want to be able to reason, and asking why in every situation isn't bad. It's just asking why in a situation where it's impossible to get an answer. It's those moments where those send you down a road where you asking and you're asking and you're asking, and you're driving yourself more and more insane trying to get an answer that will never come. No matter what you do, no matter how much you ask, how long you ask, the answer won't come. So what do you do in that situation? How do you continue living your life? Maybe not going back to normal, but at least being able to move on. How do you do that? When does asking why become bad? You know, there's been plenty of times where asking why was good. I would ask why for plenty of good reasons. 2 plus 2 equals 4. As a kid, you ask why. Well, you take these two things, you take these two things, you put them together, they equal 4. Cool. Makes sense. Got the reasoning down. We move on. A plant needs sunlight to grow. Why? Well, what it does is go through photosynthesis, takes the sunlight, makes energy from it, helps the plant grow, bada bing, bada boom. Got it. Reasoning down, makes sense. We can move on. And then you get to those questions where it's why is dad not moving? And then it's the job of somebody else to tell you, no, he's not asleep. And then you gotta figure out the concept of something that, whether you were ready for or not, it's being introduced to you. And then you ask the question, why? Why is he dead? I've been fortunate in my life that everyone who's super close to me in my life is alive and healthy. But I have had people leave. And I've had to ask that question, why? And I remember asking it. I remember never getting the answer because that person is no longer around to answer it. And since they're no longer around to answer it, there's no one who can answer. So at first you kind of drive yourself crazy. You're like, why? What could I have done differently? What could I have done more of? Was it my fault? Was it something I did? Was it something I said? If I had done something different, would they have stayed? If I did something different, would they be here right now? And we torture ourselves. We torture ourselves with these questions because we want to grasp the whole picture. Because then, if it makes sense, then maybe it would hurt less. And if it hurt less, then it'd be easier to move on. I remember I had a best friend, and we were best, man, we were locked in, bro. Brothers couldn't take us apart, bro, and we spent pretty much every day together, and we would do everything together. I remember there was one day at school, he was like, yo, I'm going on a vacation, and I thought it was weird. Thought it was a weird vacation because it was like school had just started. It was September. He's like, nah, I'm going on vacation, but I'll be back in like a couple weeks. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And a couple weeks go by, and he's still not back. And I thought it was weird, but I was like, you know what? Hey, maybe it's gonna be longer than a couple weeks. Okay, cool. Another couple weeks go by, and this is back when I have no cell phone. I only memorized my home phone number because we had a landline. If you remember landlines, shout out. But I remember weeks go by, still hasn't been back, still not back. And I'm like, what is going on? I don't know where he's been. I don't know where he's at. I have no way of communicating with him. And I remember there was a rumors going around school. They were like, nah, he left. I was like, nah, he told me he'd be back. So, nah, he's definitely coming back. They're like, nah, Reese, he's gone. He's not coming back. And I was in denial for a long time. But then 3 months went by. And at some point, I just knew. I was like, it just kind of hit me. I was like, he's not coming back. And when you're that young, I'm like 3rd grade or something like that. When you're that young, you don't know how to reason that. You don't know you don't know how to you don't know, you have no sense of context. So you kind of blame the only thing that's left. And for me, that was myself. I was like, and that caused some issues with me because I was like, he's gone, and he didn't even say goodbye. He just dipped. Was I that bad of a friend? Was I not worth saying goodbye to? Was I not worth telling the truth to? Why would he just leave and not tell me? But years go by. And I randomly run into him at some block party. It was weird. So if he left when I was in 3rd grade, we met up again. I was in like a freshman in high school, something like that. A lifetime of experience had gone by at that point. We had lived very separate lives, and we were not the same people. And so I asked him, I was like, yo, you told me you told me you'd be back, but you never came back. What happened, bro? he told me, he was like, I thought I was going on vacation too. His family had told him he was going on vacation too, but they really had just moved and they didn't know any other way of really telling him. And then he had been essentially moving from place to place for the past, at that point, like 11 years. He had no idea. He didn't know why either. It was just, they packed him up and sent away. And when I finally got that answer, I had the context. And I really thought, because I had the context, that all of a sudden that pain I had felt for years, that I had kind of buried, would disappear, but it didn't. It was still there. And I understood. I understood the big picture. I understood, but the pain, I was still hurt. And that was my first instance, I think, where I found out that just because you know why doesn't mean that you'll feel better. Because I didn't feel better. There was nothing that could give that time back. There was nothing that could restore that sadness that I felt when I was that young. There was that abandonment I felt. There was nothing that could remedy that. I still felt that. So later in life, when something really big happened, when I really got abandoned, that life lesson that I learned when I was 13, 14 years old, it helped me be able to not drive myself crazy asking the why. Why isn't she here? Why did she leave? Was it something I did? Was it those questions I had learned that I didn't need to ask. And it's similar. It's similar to the video from the beginning, because there are things that happen that have nothing to do with me. There are things that happen that have nothing to do with you, and they were just choices that other people made, or just the luck of the draw. That person in your life that got shot, and they weren't even in the beef. A stray bullet just hit them. It just happened. It's because someone made a choice to pull the trigger. And that doesn't feel fulfilling, right? Like, that doesn't feel like, what do you mean? It just happened. That's it. That's all I get. That's all I get, is just that it happened. All I get is that it is what it is. How do you move on from that? It's so difficult to move on from it is what it is. When something really hurts you, when it really digs into you, when it really changes your whole life, it sends your head spinning. That is what it is doesn't feel good enough. You want closure. The thing about closure is that it's overrated. It will make you feel, the idea of closure will make you feel like, as long as I get that I can move on. But what if you don't get it? Then you can never move on? If you don't get it, does that mean that you can never move on? There has to be another option. It can't be that you don't get the closure, and so therefore you don't get to live again. God doesn't ask you to give up your emotions, to just all of a sudden stop feeling, so you stop feeling that, pit, the emptiness, the anger, that's grief is proof that love exists. The fact that you feel the break in that connection, in that bond, proves that there was truly love there. For whatever reason, it broke apart, but that love existed there, and it was real. And love is too good to just throw to the side because it doesn't feel good anymore. It's too important. You're too important. God wants to go through it with you. He wants you to feel those feelings with you. He wants to be in every part of the process of you healing with you. The parts of you that feel that anger or that bitterness, he wants to be able to heal you of that. But he can't do that if you're stuck on a why you won't get the answer from. Because the why they hurt you isn't really that important. They hurt you. And you have to deal with that. And it's not fair that you have to deal with that, but you have to deal with that. You didn't shuffle the cards, but this is the hand that's dealt. And you have to deal with it, even if it's someone else's fault. And it's unfair. It's not fair. But what I can tell you is that God is to bring fairness to the unfair, to bring justice to the oppressed, to uplift and strengthen the weakened. You can feel peace now in this moment, right now. It will just take letting go of the importance of why. Letting go of the idol of why. And it's okay, you can do it. You can let go. It will feel weird. It'll feel unfamiliar. But if you can do it, if you commit to doing it, the peace, the healing that you feel, unprecedented. And it won't be on day one. It won't be on day two. But eventually, you'll wake up one day and when you think back on that relationship, on that person, it won't be pain, but it'll be nostalgia. You'll remember the good times. You'll feel that peace. That peace is waiting for you. You just gotta start walking towards it. That's really all I have to say about that. That's the video, I think. I don't think I got nothing else. I don't know. I just thought I'd switch it up again. I saw that the video in the beginning, and I don't know, it started to just kind of, thoughts just started going. So I thought I'd just speak on it. So I really appreciate y'all. I hope y'all like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see what type of video I'll make next. Okay? So stay blessed, don't stress, and I'll see you guys in the next. Peace.
Thinking in their mind, oh, what a dangerous game. Just a moment with the wrong thought, here comes the downfall like a flood, like a flood.